At first, I thought this would be your standard run-of-the-mill HOH train, but this week just keeps on taking more twists and turns as the day goes by. What started off as a calm week of not making any waves is slowly but surely turning into a week of pure unfiltered chaos. There's going to be a lot for us to go over today, including a brand new target for the week. But first, before we get started, make sure you hit that subscribe button below if you have not already. The tea has been piping hot this season, and there is so much going on in the game that the live TV edit is just not going to be able to show you everything. Recaps like this are such a good way to find out what's actually going on in the game day to day, and to give you a little bit of a sneak peek behind that reality TV curtain. So if you would like a little bit of a deeper look into how this game is played, this is the channel for you. Now, let's get started. So when we last left off, Chelsie was her HOH and she had decided on Angela and Kimo as her nominations. She did tell both of them that they were going to be her pawns, but most of the house was down to vote out Angela regardless. Now Angela did fight pretty hard to stay off the block, it just did not work at all. Kimo, on the other hand, barely fought his nominations at all. Chelsie assured him that he would be safe and he pretty much just took her for face value. Kimo's just not really much of a confronter to begin with. We saw this last week with Quinn and now again this week with Chelsie. So those were Chelsea's initial nominees, but of course we know that nothing can really be set in this game until we know what happens with the veto. So the house guests are all going to go off to compete, and when the feeds return we see that Makensy has won her first veto of the season. It was the OTEV comp, a Big Brother classic, but it may be a little bit disappointing this year. See, this competition usually lasts for 5 rounds, but apparently this year everybody performed so poorly that this year it only lasted 1, which has never happened before, by the way. This is not usually the comp where people get questions wrong. I just know this is going to be an absolute train wreck that we're just going to have to wait until Wednesday to see play out. So now that MJ and Chelsie have all the power this week, this is going to put their trio in a pretty good spot for this week at least. So they're all going to meet up to discuss what to do with the veto. Their options are to use the veto and have a bigger target like Leah or even Quinn go up on the block this week, or they could keep everything the same, at which point the house would likely vote out Kimo? That's right, Kimo. As it turns out, Chelsie is ready and willing to take that shot at the other side of the house now. I did mention in my last video how Chelsie might actually be interested in the idea of getting rid of Kimo this week anyway. After all, you never put the person you love most as a pawn.
I do feel a way about putting Kimo up on the block, but here's the thing. A lot of people feel threatened by him in this game. So if they feel threatened, they could be the ones to get him out the house. Boom, bam, boom.
Chelsea's allies seem to agree with this sentiment too. They're able to recognize that that other trio is way too powerful, especially now with so little numbers in the game.
The only reason I would still be leaning to get Kimo out is because he automatically has 2 votes.
So I told her.
Every time. And those are unbreakable 2. You know what I'm saying?
Now, I do think that this is the right move for Cam and MJ to make, but for Chelsie, not so much. You see, what Chelsie doesn't know is that Quinn and Leah are starting to whisper about targeting her eventually. This is mainly coming from Quinn, who really wants to steal MJ and Cam away from her, which honestly, I don't know how successful he'll be at that. After all, Cam and MJ are pretty loyal. But it is important to note that Quinn and Leah are probably Chelsea's biggest ops in the game right now. So really, either one of them should go, but I do think that targeting Leah would be the optimal move for Chelsie to make here, and it's totally possible to get it done.
Rubina, T-Kor, Kimo are all sketchy about Leah. And so is Makensy. The only person in this house that's not sketchy about her is Quinn. And he should be.
Quinn, I feel like Quinn is too, because she just did the thing with the veto against his wishes.
If Chelsie does cut Leah here, then Quinn would be alone and less likely to take that strike against her. Plus, I think that T-Kor trio would target Quinn Angela, and then MJ before they ever thought about touching Chelsie. Not to mention, it would probably be best for Chelsea's game to keep this trio on her side for their jury vote. So she could let somebody else piss them off and take that first shot at them instead. I think Quinn would be a good target for Chelsie too this week, but Leah is a much bigger threat to win over that jury than Quinn in the end, full stop. That's why I'm slightly leaning over towards getting out Leah a little bit more. This is a tough one, y'all, because on one hand, I do understand that T-Kor, Rubina, and Kimo trio needs to be broken up ASAP. But on the other hand, they're not really a risk to Chelsie in particular right now. The same can't be said for MJ though. I mean, from Makensy's perspective, she should definitely keep the nominations the same. There is literally no good reason for MJ to use the veto on either of these people, so she should definitely be pushing for Kimo to leave this week. And that's why I really hated the way T-Kor just folded into letting Chelsie put Kimo on the block. I've said for weeks now that Chelsie is T-Kor's biggest blind spot in the game, and this is exactly why. The reality is, T-Kor has always thought that Chelsie had her back way more than Chelsie actually did. But in Chelsea's defense, she's not wrong with being shifty with T-Kor. These two ladies have been on opposite sides of the house for so many votes this season. Plus, we all know that Chelsie is T-Kor's number 3 in the game behind Kimo and Rubina. So the logical move is for Chelsie to have T-Kor a little further down on her list as well. Now, I do want to give T-Kor some credit because she is starting to wake up just a little bit. Her spidey senses are starting to tingle. She knows that Kimo being safe is not a 100% guarantee this week, so she does want to talk to Chelsie about possibly backdooring Quinn instead. Now, as of the time of this recording, they haven't had this conversation yet, but it is good to know that T-Kor at least has her defenses up. Again, I think that joining forces with T-Kor and getting rid of Quinn or Leah would be the better move for Chelsea's game anyway, but there is going to be another force in the game that's going to push Chelsie towards that direction. Because it looks like once again, y'all, Angela has woken up and decided to choose chaos. Just like with Tucker, Angela has seemingly switched overnight and woke up ready to throw Leah under the bus. You see, the previous night, Angela had been doing a little bit of snooping, and she thinks she saw Leah walking around whispering, sneaking with Quinn and some other people trying to talk game and form little alliances, and Angela is not happy about it.
I would love to confront somebody, talk it over.
Would you
and
tell me
see-
who the person is you have to talk to first and not even tell me what it's about?
Can I trust you?
Yeah, I wouldn't tell anybody. I would not tell anybody. Leah. I figured.
So now Angela is trying to convince Chelsie that Leah and Quinn have teamed up with T-Kor and them, and they are trying to take everybody out. It is completely random and seemingly out of nowhere, which also makes this so on brand for Angela. Now, even though Angela has been a loose cannon all season, her words are still going to hold some weight here. It's going to get Chelsea's gears turning just a little bit. This little seed of paranoia that Angela has planted begins sprouting. And now Chelsie is going to consider seriously putting up Quinn or Leah.
I think
Because she might go home.
because Leah might go home. And they have one less of a number, and so does Quinn.
And Quinn.
And they're not rocking with Quinn, really. Quinn would have to fall in line. Do we want to be messy? Because here's the thing.
Do we want to be messy?
This plan is still very much in the works, but she has been talking to MJ about possibly using the veto on Angela and putting up Quinn or Leah instead. Again, nothing's official yet, but the plan is very much in motion. Which again, I do think that Quinn or Leah leaving would be the best move for Chelsea's game. I don't think MJ should agree to this at all, but she's under Chelsea's mist right now, so we shall see. In other news, there was a little bit of baby drama in the house as the house guests all got alcohol delivered. They get alcohol once a week or so, and there's usually not too much to report on. But this time, once people started to get tipsy, things started to get a little bit tense. They had been playing Truth or Dare and F, Marry, Kill, you know, the usual kiddie games. And this part wasn't caught on the feeds, but somewhere in the mix, Rubina had made a comment to T-Kor about how T-Kor was using her as a shield for her game. Rubina was kind of joking, but also very serious. I think it was just some liquor courage and her saying the hard parts out loud. This really hurts T-Kor's feelings at first, and she walks away crying. But eventually these two are able to talk it out and they end up fine in the end.
What are you sad?
Like, if I'm making y'all feel like y'all are shields, because that's not how I see y'all, and that's not how I view y'all.
It's okay that we've both been on the block twice and you've not, like, inevitably that you don't get to choose that truth.
I don't think T-Kor is faking her friendship with Rubina at all, but it is interesting to note that Rubina does recognize the position she's in by being so close to T-Kor. I just don't know if she's actually going to do anything about it. So that's all I got for today. Even though the AI arena is over, it looks like we're still in for a very interesting week where really anybody could go home. Of course, I want to know, what do you want to see happen this week? Do you think MJ should go ahead and use that veto, or should she keep noms the same? Let me know in the comments below. Regardless what happens, I am sure we're going to be in for another manic Monday once the veto ceremony does actually happen. And as a certified member of Team Fun Feeds, I can't wait. Of course, I'll be back here to update you all whenever the next big change does happen, probably something to do with that veto. But until next time, bye.